Welcome to an update of one of the most popular choices that I've identified when it comes to high yield savings accounts, and that is SoFi. While it has great interest, while it has a great bonus, there still has a few things that you need to know before you choose it as your main bank. So I suggest that you watch this video until the end to make sure that you have the most information so you can make the best decision for yourself. With that being said, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and check the links in the description if SoFi is an option for you. Let's get right into it. Now, I'm super excited about all of the details and facts that we're about to go over here because I want to give you a ton of insight as somebody who's been researching this account over the last more than a year at this point. And I'm going to give you, of course, some of the frequently asked questions that I get from customers just like you, potential customers just like you, when it comes to choosing the best financial organization for themselves. Now, of course, the elephant in the room is the APY, which currently, right at this moment, is at 3.8%. Now, one piece of insight I want to share here this with you is how SoFi, in contrast with many other organizations out there, keeps their interest and their APY somewhat stable. Interests overall are going down because they do depend on what the Federal Reserve is doing. But I must say that with SoFi, I've noticed that they don't just drop the rates immediately. They kind of taper them down very slowly. And other banks just immediately drop them, right? Before the Fed even says anything, they just go ahead and drop their interest rates, which, of course, this means that there's less money for you in your account. So this is just one little piece of insight that I think is going to help you with ease and the little warm and fuzzy feeling to make sure that you are gaining the most and earning the most out of your money. Now, one thing also that is very important when it comes to people that are looking to open a high yield savings account is the opening account bonus. As I mentioned previously, they're currently offering up to $325. However, it's not as easy as just, hey, let me open my account and let me get my bonus, right? There are certain requirements that you got to meet, and you get between $1,000 and $4,999. I'll round that up to $5,000. But you do get $50 if your direct deposit is between $1K and $49.99. And you do get the $300 with a $5,000 direct deposit or more within a 25-day cycle. Now, this is very important to understand because I get a lot of questions from people. So how much should my direct deposit be? How can I get the bonus? And I'm going to go over more about this here in a second. And if you use the link in the description, by the way, to sign up with SoFi today, you will get an extra $25 added to your bonus. So that's with respect to that. I'm going to go over a couple of more details here because that's very important. I know that's a huge incentive for a lot of people just like you. And hey, I don't blame you. It is an incentive also for me if I were new to an organization and looking to park my money. Now, a couple of things to also consider when it comes to these organizations and choosing the place where to park your hard-earned money is the FDIC insurance. Now, the FDIC insurance, of course, it means that if something happens to the bank, then they give you your money back, right? So that means there's zero risk on your end, and that leads you to financial peace and security and less mental stress. How about that? So SoFi gives you one of the highest FDIC insurances out there, up to $2 million. Now, you might be wondering, how is that even possible? Most banks that I've seen so far offer you up to $250,000. Now, they do this because SoFi partners with a bunch of other banks and they distribute your money amongst other FDIC insured banks, and they act as a hub. They take your money, they distribute it, and then they can tell you, hey, here's a $2 million FDIC insurance. Now, this is more common. This high FDIC insurance is common with cash management accounts, which I've talked about in the channel here as well. More often than not, if they are offering this much, more than $250K, then most likely they are partnered with other banks so they can increase your FDIC insurance. Of course, needless to say, most people will be okay with the regular $250,000 FDIC insurance. Now, when it comes to minimum deposit, the minimum deposit essentially becomes your direct deposit in order to qualify for that 3.8% APY, because that's exactly what you need in order to get that juicy, high competitive interest rate. So always keep that in mind. And there's no maintenance fee with this account, which is honestly the standard in my book at this point. Here's a screenshot proving the current APY of 3.8%, of course, with direct deposit. And also here is how to get a SoFi bonus. And I'm going to go over these details here in a second because I know that you might be wondering, hey, how can I get that money, right? So the bonus period is 25 days. So you got to make a total direct deposit amount of $5,000 if you want to get that $300 bonus in a 25 calendar day within 20. So most, considering that most people get paid every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks or even once a month, then that's going to cover that bonus. So that's going to cover that $5,000 deposit to make sure that you get that bonus. So here is further details on what really qualifies as a direct deposit. So we are talking here about payroll, pension, or government benefit, Social Security maybe, made in your name. This is going to help you make sure that you get that juicy bonus. Now, is there a minimum deposit to get that APY? You might be wondering that as well. And the answer is no, there's no minimum deposit, direct deposit that is, to receive the 3.8%. So it could be a penny, it could be $1. And here is the FDIC insurance up to $2 million with participating banks. Okay, so now if you're wondering, okay, so what does that mean exactly when it comes to my savings? Let's assume that you got $10,000 for the sake of simplicity. So if you put your money in this organization, then you would earn, considering everything stays the same and you don't make any more contributions throughout the next year, that you will approximately earn $380 of extra money, passive income that you didn't have to work any harder for. And this is important to understand because if you look at what would happen with Bank of America, which, by the way, they give you one of the lowest APYs out there for savings account, like 0.01%, you will earn on that same $10,000, $1. Astonishing, right? Crazy difference. So that's why I love these high yield savings accounts, and more people definitely need to know about these to make sure they maximize their important and hard-earned money. Now let's go a little bit more into the access and how you can get your money, how you can make deposits. Of course, this is very important, of course, because we all want to make sure that we have the liquidity and the readily accessible cash for our needs. So when it comes to account access, of course, you can access it online through your phone, through your desktop, mobile. They also have the ATM if you have a checking account. Now, one thing to keep in mind here is that when it comes to SoFi, when you open your high yield savings account, you automatically will get a checking account, and then as a result, you will get a debit card. Now, the debit card, of course, you can use it at the ATM. You can use your high yield savings account, transfer to your checking, and go to the ATM and withdraw money. They have a partnership with All Point ATMs, which gives you thousands of ATMs worldwide where they don't charge you a fee. And in most cases, of course, if you go out of network, then they will charge you a fee. Now, when it comes to making deposits, you can make deposits into this account through a variety of different ways. We're talking about bank transfer, regular direct deposit, wire transfers, which they come with a fee. By the way, some organizations give you a free wire transfer. If you don't know what a wire transfer is, it essentially means a fast transfer, right? Mostly what I've seen when I used to work at a bank, they use this mostly for business purposes. So some organizations give it to you for free, but at the end of the day, people don't use it very often for personal reasons. So that you do also have e-check, which means you can make deposits with your phone, which is exactly what I'm using to record this video. And you can also deposit cash at certain locations through Walgreens. So that's a little bit more. I'm going to actually put a screenshot of what that means exactly and where you can make your deposits. Now, in order to transfer money out of SoFi, it takes about 2 to 3 business days to another institution. And that's kind of like the standard that I've seen. Up to 3 business days is pretty normal. Some banks out there can take up to 4 or 5 business days, depending on the level of relationship that you have with the bank. If you're brand new, it may take a little longer. I've heard of some organizations going all the way up to like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, which is kind of like all the way out there. But the standard is about 2 to 3 business days for a regular transfer of your money from SoFi to another one. Now, one piece of insight I must tell you here and I must warn you is that if you are constantly switching and transferring and doing a lot of stuff with your money, especially if it's in the thousands, if it's a large amount, then the system itself may flag you, and that is going to lead you to you having to call customer service to get your money, because they may freeze your account, maybe not freeze it, but definitely maybe lock it, because if you are doing a lot of stuff with your account, then that's a little weird, right? Like if you're just constantly transferring, then maybe you just need a checking account. So I just want to warn you, because I've had plenty of complaints from people and customers just like you who are wondering and complaining about their bank, when in reality, sometimes we as customers just do shady transactions, right? So just something to keep in mind. Now, when it comes, of course, when the variety of services that this organization uses, they have checking, savings, loans, credit cards, mortgages, and of course, a lot more. Now, here's a screenshot proving to you that this account does come with a checking account. And here is actually how long it takes for transfer, for online transfer, for a payment app, maybe a wire transfer which is within a few hours. And there's the cost right there as well. And of course, also the personal check that you can deposit through the ATM, or you can deposit through your actually even more accessible and more convenient, which is just through your phone. Let's get to know this organization just a little better, because when it comes to choosing a trustworthy financial organization, at least in my eyes, it's important to understand what they stand for. What are people saying? Like, how long they've been in business? So this organization was originally founded in 2011. The withdrawal frequency allowed per month, there's unlimited, so you can withdraw as many times as you want from this organization. Now, keep in mind that some organizations may lock you out, not lock you, but they may put a limit on you of 6 or 10 withdrawals per month. I've seen that with Ally, and I believe also either Capital One or American Express also have certain thresholds. So just be aware of this, because sometimes they may not give you access to your account. Sometimes they may charge you a fee or a penalty fee for accessing more than the allowed frequency per month. So just make sure that you understand that when you sign up with any organization out there, not just SoFi, of course. Now, average reviews from other websites like NerdWallet and Bankrate, we're talking a very high review, 4.9 and 5 respectively for savings. So nothing to complain there. Now, one thing to keep in mind here is, of course, that they do also have customer service, which I love, because I call customer service at 11 p.m., sometimes at midnight, and I want to make sure that I talk to somebody about my account, because when it comes to money, we all know that we want to get the result as soon as possible. Now, here's how you can use SoFi, right? You're wondering, okay, so there's a lot of features in this organization. How can I use it? So you can use it for your emergency fund, maybe your tax savings, maybe for short-term goals, because you can also use this thing called vaults, which are essentially little piggy banks under one account number. Like, that's really the way I like to look at it. You have multiple piggy banks, maybe one for your car, maybe one for your house, one for your vacation, one for your taxes or whatever. And then you can allocate your money effectively without having to think about it. Also, you can use it for investing, because you can easily transfer money and buy stocks. You can use your money from your high yield savings to your checking, and from your checking, you can buy stocks. Now, of course, you also have, on top of all that, the regular checking duties like bill pay, direct deposit, checking, ATM card, all the good stuff that you need for your regular banking needs. Now, in my personal view, SoFi has really everything you need for your everyday banking needs, but is it really for you? So let's go break down the pros and cons of this organization to make sure you make the best decision for yourself. Now, of course, when it comes to the pros, it's got a competitive APY. It's got a juicy, enticing up to $325 bonus, no minimum deposit, no monthly fees. It's got high FDIC insurance. It's got great tools for your checking and your savings. And of course, even investing options, and of course, many more services. Now, when there's upsides, undoubtedly there's downsides. So here's we go over that. You do need to get the direct deposit to qualify for the high APY. Also, the product variety, it has so many features that for somebody that just wants a high yield savings account, it may be overwhelming. It's just one of those things where it's like, man, there's just so many things happening here. Some people just want a very much high interest rate in an account with just one feature, and I totally get it. One of the ones that comes to mind right now is CIT Bank. Is actually really good at that. I'm going to leave a link in the description to that organization as well. If you just want a high yield savings account in a bank and just park it there, right? If you just want that, they also have a solution for you. I have a couple of other options for you if you want that simplicity. Now, of course, also it signs you up for automatic checking, which may or may not be your cup of tea if you just want, again, a savings account without having to link your direct deposit or anything else out there. So also, there's also no branch access. Most of these high yield savings account offering organizations are mainly online, and that's why they're able to give you this high interest rate, because they are online. So they don't have all that overhead and benefits and location fees and rentals to make sure that they pay all their staff to give you in-branch services. Now, keep in mind, of course, that every financial organization has good and bad reviews, but the key is to identify what is relevant to you, how recent the reviews are, and whether or not you want to choose them anyway. And keep this in mind, there's no perfect organization. Now, would I recommend SoFi to my mom? And the answer is yes, if my mom is looking for basic checking and savings, a cash signing bonus that is juicy of about to $325. Maybe she wants to do some investing and she's looking overall for a new banking hub, a new organization where to park her money. Now, no, if my mom is looking for a bank with physical locations, number one, maybe she wants the highest available APY out there. And also, if she doesn't want to have direct deposit or a checking account with her high yield savings account organization. So with this being said, if SoFi is for you, make sure that you check the link in the description. You'll get an additional $25 on top of the $300 offer if you qualify, of course. So just make sure that you get this offer while it lasts and take advantage of these great tools to have your money work harder and earn you more money. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you share it with a loved one. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.